Well, it's what we long suspected and feared. And the truth is, Anthony Albanese has never been a friend of Israel. Never. I've played you his speeches on Israel on this program going back years. And today, his government has hardened its position on Israel, calling the West Bank and Gaza occupied Palestinian territories and saying Israeli West Bank settlements are illegal under international law. Under Labor's updated policy, Judaism's holiest sites, the Temple Mount and the Western Wall, according to the Australian newspaper, will now be considered to be in occupied Palestinian territory. Here's Penny Wong, Foreign Minister, speaking on this in the Senate this afternoon.
We are deeply concerned by the Israeli government settlement activity, including its advancements of thousands of settlement units, retroactive legalisation of illegal outputs and policy changes. The Australian government is strengthening its opposition to settlements by affirming they are illegal under international law and a significant obstacle to peace.
The Australian Jewish Association condemned this as a hostile move and says Penny Wong has outsourced foreign policy to far-left radicals or inexperienced university activists. The Australian's foreign policy editor Greg Sheridan also condemned the move in an interview with Andrew Clennell this afternoon. Have a look.
This is a sop to the left, but like most sops to the left, it's bad policy. And actually, I think the Albanese government should recall the lessons of the Hawke government. When a Labor Prime Minister stands up to the left in the interests of Australian national security and good international policy, he is a winner with the electorate every time. When he caves into the left or gives them concessions, he looks weak, and in this case, the government looks weak and is wrong on the international law.
Wrong on the international law. And Liberal MP Julian Leeser also was on Sky this afternoon. He said this is a huge mistake and that the Labor government has lost control of its national conference. He said Labor is sacrificing one ally, Israel, to preserve another, the United States, over AUKUS. Well, let's bring in my panel, Labor MP for Moreton, Graham Perrett, and Liberal Senator for New South Wales, Holly Hughes. Great to see you both. Graham,
Afternoon, Shari. Hi, Graham.
Afternoon.
G'day, Shari.
Starting with you, Graham, how can you possibly defend this policy?
Well, Shari, as I'm sure Greg Sheridan knows and you would know, international law is very settled when it comes to when people can come in and take over someone's land. And the settlement process has been condemned by the United Kingdom and Canada. There is, and many other countries, but like-minded countries, do not see this as being a solution to ensuring that there is peace and stability in this part of the world. Obviously, the Labor Party was out of the blocks early, back in 1949, recognising Israel. We've had a long-term commitment to making sure that there's peace and stability in the region. But the settlements that we've seen a surge of in recent days, with some accompanying violence, including the deaths of young people, this is not contributing to peace and stability. And Labor has, used the language that is appropriate when the people are illegally occupying territories. So that's what we've done. It's nothing radical. It's just using common sense language, the principles of international humanitarian law and legal terms to recognise what's going on.
Holly, what's your reaction to this? And also, the claim that the Federal Labor Party caucus thinks it can help achieve peace in the Middle East by this move, this policy motion that has been described as radical and the far left, and according to Greg Sheridan, wrong under international law.
Well, and according to AJAC, I know they feel it is profoundly disappointing in what's happened. It is an absolute joke. We've seen the hubris from this Albanese government, but the fact that they think by somehow declaring this is going to create peace in the Middle East is just ludicrous. It's incredibly insulting to Israel as a country. that without a two-state solution being devised, that somehow or other the Labor caucus is in the best place to draw the lines of any two-state solution at this time. And then as to your point with the West Bank, the fact that East Jerusalem will now be referred to as occupied territories is just abhorrent, considering the holiest of sites that are there, Temple Mount and Western Wall particularly, is just an insult to all of those Jewish Israelis that find those sites very, very important to them, to now being referred to as occupied territories. This is nothing but a factional stitch-up for the Labor Party to have a smoother running conference, and it is going to play out badly on the international stage. It is going to create tensions where there didn't need to be with Israel. They're going to cause problems within the Jewish community here. And it's nothing but a factional play, and it's absolutely disgraceful.
And Graham, the other point that I want to make is I want to know why you and others and Labor caucus have this obsession with Israel. Why aren't you passing resolutions about the Uyghurs, the 2 million Muslims in concentration camps in China? Where is Penny Wong talking about the Uyghurs? Why aren't you talking about Taiwan under constant threat? Why aren't you speaking about the millions of Syrians who had to leave their homes? Why isn't the Labor caucus passing resolutions about the Taliban, which has now banned women in Afghanistan from seeing a doctor, from having an education, and they have to cover their heads and faces once again? Where are all of these resolutions from Labor caucus, Graham? Why are you
Shari,
and the Labor government and Penny Wong
Do you want me
so
to answer, Shari?
obsessed with Israel? Yes.
Would you like me to answer, Shari?
Please, go ahead.
So obviously, all of these, most of the issues you've just gone through will be discussed at our conference, which is open to the, it takes place in front of the Fourth Estate. We don't do it behind closed doors. We don't have secret meetings like some of the other political parties. We like to debate our issues, and we'll do so at our national conference. Now, we've had a long-standing
other motions, no other moves passed by Labor caucus. Where's Penny Wong speaking about the Uyghurs ahead of the meeting with China?
Shari, the Labor caucus considers things that are raised in the Labor caucus, not the things that you direct at me in a barrage. Give me the courtesy of letting me answer. Now, the Labor caucus has a range of people with a range of views on a number of topics. If we cannot have a respectful debate in the Labor caucus or at the national conference about these things, how can we ever approach other parties around the world, whether it be in any of the areas that you just talked about, Shari? Now, we'll have respectful debates. So, I have good friends where I have completely different views on Labor Party policies, and that's the beauty of the Labor Party. You bring the ideas to a national conference. We're a party of consensus. We've had views in Queensland since 2017, I think, about this topic, and at the national conference since 2018. So we're happy to have a debate on the floor, let people speak on these issues. That's what we do. That's why the Labor Party was out of the blocks, as I said, back in 1949, but we're also there when it comes to making sure that we have peace. Because crazy expansion, so grabbing businesses and territory and farms and turning off water is not the pathway to stability. That's not how you achieve stability. We've got a lot of issues in the world when it comes to. Please.
Holly Hughes?
Look, I mean, I'll be very interested when the Labor Party is debating this issue, whether anything's put on the table about the Palestinian policy of pay for slay, which we know is continuing. Not long ago, I was actually in Ramallah, where I was proudly shown by a group of Palestinians showing us around one of the settlements, monuments that are erected to Palestinian suicide bombers who have killed Jewish civilians. It is absolutely outrageous that these Palestinian suicide bombing that continues is just swept under the carpet by the Labor Party. Palestinians can do no wrong in their eyes, and they condemn Israel at every opportunity. It is unbelievable. And the other thing that these
That's
changes
rubbish,
will
Holly.
actually have an impact.
You're talking
What's
rubbish.
rubbish? Pay for slaves rubbish? Pay for slaves rubbish? Really?
No, they say
Pay
that
for
it's
slaves rubbish?
the idea that
So
that is swept.
why don't
That
you
idea
ever
that it is
address
swept under
these
the
issues? You
carpet
don't
in the
address
Labor
them.
Party.
Look, Graham, where
Holly,
are the
you
caucus
only know this
motions?
because
You're
it was
just gonna
we
talk
Where are
we
the
had
caucus
the
motions?
Labour
About
Party
occupation.
caucus
They're
spokesperson
not
come out
going
and
in
talk
with
about it.
suicide
But where are the
That's why
caucus
you know
motions
about it.
condemning
How can you say it's being
the
swept
the
under the
celebration
carpet?
of March? Where are the caucus motions celebrating the condemning of terrorists that Holly's speaking about? Where are the caucus motions speaking about how Palestinian gay people are thrown
Sherry,
off buildings?
Holly is saying that it's being
are you
swept
concerned
under the
about
carpet.
That? The terrorist activity
It is
by
swept under the
Hamas.
carpet. You don't
Are
acknowledge
you
it.
We
concerned
can
about
be
that?
concerned about injustice everywhere in the world, Shari. But we could
but
only
you
deal with one
only
thing at a
speak about
time.
Israel.
This was the item raised in
though.
caucus, as
You could
discussed
be, but you're
by
not.
Tony Burke. Okay.
Oh, so Tony Burke
okay.
was behind it.
That
of
bastion
course.
of pro-Israeli
Of course, Tony
No,
Burke
I
was
said
behind it.
Tony Burke, as the caucus spokesperson, detailed something that was spoken about, raised by someone in the caucus, and then addressed by Penny Wong. That's how we do things. It is a caucus is where an opportunity for everybody to speak.
Caucus is now
and our
overruling.
national conference
Caucus is
will
not
also
overruling
our
votes
national
we made
conference
at the
will
UN
also be
last year.
open to the media.
And Graham, just to be
So
clear,
National
is
Caucus
this part of
overrules
a
UN votes now.
is this part of a stitch
UN
up
votes.
so that the left doesn't turn against Albanese on AUKUS? Are those reports accurate?
Well, I'm not going to preempt what's going to be decided at National Conference. Only an idiot would try and do that, Shari. National Conference will be a conference of debates and ideas, both on the conference floor, in the fringe, and in the party meetings off to the side. That's what it has always been. Anthony Albanese's been going there since the 80s. He knows how a conference goes, how we can bring out great ideas, and especially with this idea of ideas coming in through the fringe. That's what the Labor Party is. We're a party of reform and looking to the future. Holly and her colleagues are a conservative party that know how to say no to everything. But they don't have a vision for Australia. They're stuffed up our diplomatic efforts in the Pacific. They're stuffed up our
Graham,
diplomatic
now you're
relationship
just
with
clutching
China.
at straws.
What
you think free trade
just stating
agreements
the
that
facts,
you've managed
Holly.
to sign all started out of thin air? No, Graham, you're rewriting history,
Obviously,
and that's what
we
you
need
guys
to
specialise in.
we need to have
You
a
guys
good relationship
specialise in
with our trading
rewriting
partners,
history.
especially our number one trading party.
Well,
All
that's
right,
because
That's what the
we're-
Labor Party National
WTO
Conference will be, and I look
objections.
forward to it.
You know, we
We are-
stand up for Australians, you kowtow to China. That's how it works. We stand up for Australians, you kowtow
Rubbish.
to China.
Holly, you
Okay.
are talking bunkum.
let's just say-
Absolute
We are out of
bunkum.
time.
You really are.
Holly
Truth
Hughes,
hurts,
Graham
Graham. The
Perrott.
truth hurts.
You really are out of time.
We are out of time. We had intended to get to other topics like The Voice, but we are completely out of time. Holly Hughes, Graham Perrott, thank you very much.